There's a system of detention centers at our southern border housing thousands of asylum seekers from Central and South America. When Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez called these facilities concentration camps, she sparked outrage and a huge debate.
The United States is running concentration camps on our southern border.
People on the right and the left spoke out against her comments, arguing that under no circumstances should we invoke the memory of the Holocaust to describe what's happening at our border. So what is the definition of a concentration camp? To understand what has historically been considered a concentration camp, we looked to the experts. Historians Andrea Pitzer and Jonathan Heislip have both written books on the matter. Now, of course, the Holocaust is one of the worst tragedies and injustices the world has ever seen. But Pitzer and Heislip agree that the concept of concentration camps predates World War II. In 1896, Spanish forces held Cuban civilians as prisoners during a rebellion. Over 100,000 people died. In 1899, American forces held women and children captive in the Philippines. In 1900, the British government operated concentration camps in southern Africa. Terrible conditions in those camps led to the deaths of thousands of children. Merriam-Webster defines the term as a place where large numbers of people, such as prisoners of war, political prisoners, refugees, or members of an ethnic or religious minority, are detained or confined under armed guard. The large numbers of people at our border are often described as illegal immigrants, but many of them aren't illegal at all. According to international law, if you arrive at the border seeking asylum, you are legally allowed a hearing. Going back to our definition of concentration camps, this would define the migrants, legal or illegal, as refugees. According to Pitzer, concentration camps are defined by poor living conditions that often lead to illness or death. So far under Trump's presidency, 24 migrants have died in ICE custody, many of them due to health-related issues. Recent reports on the conditions of these facilities are horrifying. The Associated Press reported on June 20th that 250 infants, children, and teens were locked up for a month without adequate food, water, and sanitation. At the same station, 3 girls reportedly took turns taking care of a sick 2-year-old boy because no one else would. At other facilities on the border, migrants described their living quarters as ice boxes because of how cold they were, and dog pounds for how they were treated. And as we all remember, children were being separated from their parents at these facilities just last year. Now, of course, there are aspects of the Nazi concentration camps that simply cannot be compared to the situation at the border. But Pitzer says that mass killings and forced labor are not requirements for the term to be used. So yes, the situation at the border is in line with the definition of a concentration camp. But there's another telltale sign too. According to Jonathan Heislip, the concept of concentration camps are tied to the idea of martial law. He told Esquire that the historical examples of concentration camps involve the oppressors overriding any sense of rights in the civilian population. The idea is that the conditions we've maintained at the border are justified because we are facing an emergency. And indeed, in an attempt to access billions of dollars in funds for his border wall, President Trump declared our border situation a national emergency. When the rhetoric used to describe the influx of migrants includes words like invasion, this only helps justify the administration's actions. And that's why it's important to call these detention centers what they are. For many people, the term concentration camp is too emotionally charged. But if we don't call these detention centers concentration camps, then we haven't learned anything useful from the history of concentration camps. One way to give ourselves urgency and to help mitigate the deplorable conditions at the border is to call things out for what they are.